One of the things that has caught my attention, this hottie blonde chick flying aeroplanes, right? I'm like, what are you doing?
Becoming a pilot, I've never thought about being a pilot. I woke up one day
Yes.
and I just felt like I needed to go to flight school. Described it to a friend of mine a couple days ago as a physical representation of the journey I've been on in my life. Take the plane and just pull back and fly.
Take off.
Something I've even learned was me waking up and deciding to go to flight school less about me becoming a pilot, or was it more about who I'm meeting along the way?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not about being a pilot. Maybe it's about stepping through all of these doors.
So hello everybody and welcome to this episode of the Portrait Partners platform. This season is all about celebrating transformation. And I know for all of us, this year in particular has been one where we've all been kind of asking some hard questions of ourselves and making some hard decisions, letting go of what doesn't serve us and really stepping into the new versions of who we're becoming. So on this episode, I wanted to bring on my friend and client, Kelsey. Now, Kelsey is amazing and she absolutely embodies the general theme of what I want to talk about here, which other than transformation is just cool people doing cool stuff. And over this last 12 months, Kelsey, I have been watching every time you post anything, I literally say to myself, can that girl get any cooler? And then you post something else and like, damn, she just did. And then I think I even commented on one of your posts recently, okay, that's it. There is nothing else you could do now that would make you any cooler. You've done it all. And so I really wanted to jump on with you in particular because we've known each other now for about a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years, and the transformation that I've seen in you over that time has been just extraordinary. It's been a pleasure to watch, and it's been incredibly, well, I feel like I've been taken along in this amazing journey with you. And I have a sense too that this is kind of just the beginning of where things are going for you. So let's dive in. And I also know that it has not come without, none of this comes for any of us without a real dedication and commitment to being the best version of ourselves possible, right? And I know there's always twists and turns on that path that really challenge us to step into being that. So let's dive in. And I remember the very first time I spoke with you. I don't know if you recall that, but right from day one, I was like, who is this girl? And I remember I asked you, where do you come from? Do you remember me asking you that? And you were like, what do you mean?
I'm in Florida.
Right? But you have such a beautiful, exotic look about you. Like, where do you come from?
Oh, I love that question because where I come from is such a broad question. Actually, that has a lot to do with my journey too, because I was born in Michigan in the States. My mom is West Indian, so we were also raised in Trinidad in the Caribbean islands. My whole family, it's a British island, so a lot of my family's in England, so I have a lot of that upbringing as well. Because we lived in Michigan, I also was in Canada a lot, but I've lived in Florida since I was 8. So I'm from everywhere.
I come from everywhere, right? I love that. I love that. So you've been doing photography for how long now, love?
7 years now.
So let's go back before then. What were you doing before you stepped into photography? Because you're not that old, right? How old are you?
I know, I'm not that old.
We can't go back too far.
I actually worked in ministry for 10 years, and as I was working in ministry, I started doing photography kind of as a creative outlet. It was something that I could put my hands to. It was something that I could do on my terms. It was like I could put my own creativity into it, my own heart into it, and I could see something through from start to finish. And so, yeah, I was in the ministry world and then started my photography just as a side gig. And then it ended up, really taking off 5 years later.
So what drew you to the ministry world? And what were you doing in the ministry world?
I did everything in the ministry world. When you're in like vocational ministry, we always say like we're just a bunch of jack of all trades. You kind of jump in wherever, but I was always more in the like live production side or the creative side. However, I have a lot of administrative skills, so I ended up doing really administrative jobs. And so what drew me to that was I was needed and I was wanted, and people wanted my skill, my heart was needed for people. And so I saw just something really beautiful there, and I got to dedicate literally all of my being to that. So I did that for a while.
You have a very spiritual aspect to you that you're very connected with, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's expressed itself in many different ways, right from the beginning.
Yeah, I think life is defined by, it can be defined by our jobs. It can be defined by, being a good person. But for me, I've always found a lot of peace and purpose in knowing that I'm connected spiritually to something greater. So I've always had that, whether it was growing up in a Baptist church in Michigan in a small town, and then coming to Florida and, being more awakened to the evangelical church and things like that. And then moving more into, spirituality and what does that mean? And how am I connected with this, with everyone? And I think that's cool how we met, because it's one of those things you can't plan. It happened. We're connected and we know it. And I love being orchestrated in that way. For me, that makes life so cool.
Isn't it? Right? The magic of it all, and how the divine plan is so much bigger and better than any of us could possibly imagine. And the journey is to surrender to that, to lean into that, to surrender to that, and to allow it to kind of be more than we could possibly imagine or dream up just on our own, yeah?
Yeah, I think the moment you start to put your own life in a box, you start to cap what's possible, because you become the person that's determining your future instead of just being surrendered to, okay, I'm going to step into this. Don't know what's going to happen, but I trust that it's going to be good for me.
So let's step into together. Let's talk about some of the things that you have stepped into in this last year alone, because one of the things that has caught my attention, and I'm sure so many other people's, is this hottie blonde chick flying airplanes, right? I'm like, what are you doing? How did this even come about? What was the impetus behind that? And tell us more about that.
Oh my goodness. So becoming a pilot was honestly, I think a byproduct of my whole journey of just saying, I screw everything. I don't know how it's going to happen. I've never thought about being a pilot.
Yeah.
In the same way that I never thought I would be in full-time photography or full-time business owner or full-time entrepreneur. It just happened. So honestly, the way it happened was I woke up one day.
Yes.
And I just felt like I needed to go to flight school. And I didn't even know that was a possibility, to be honest with you. I had no experience in the industry. I knew nothing about if there was even a flight school in my area. So I got on Google and I found that there was a flight school 15 minutes away from my house. And I was like, I called them up and I said, is this a flight school? What do you do here? I'm telling you, I knew nothing about it, but I knew I wanted to be a pilot. And
have you always known that? Or was that just a thought that you woke up one morning and thought, damn, I want to be a pilot? Or is it something that you've always
No, woke up and I was like, I'm gonna be a pilot.
Okay, so let's just take a little step back here for a minute here, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about intuition. Let's talk
Yeah.
about receiving that kind of insight and how you know to trust that. Does this happen often for you? Do you often wake up and go get intuitive hits like that, like, I'm gonna be a pilot, I'd like to do that, and then you just do it? Or how does that process work for you? And is that always been the case?
No, it has not, and that's a great question. Because and the reason why it was so easy for me to pick it up is because I've been given a lot of opportunities to practice listening to my
Right?
intuition. So, in my life, I never learned how to listen to my inner voice. I was always looking to wise counsel, someone else's direction. I didn't trust myself because I was taught to go and seek leadership, seek an advocate for you in your life. And it really stunted me for many, many years because instead of trusting what I knew to be right and what I knew, the word for it is intuition. Instead of trusting my intuition, what I knew was right for my life, I would go and seek the opinions of others just to be covered, just to be safe. Well, if this goes wrong, then that person told me to do it.
Right? Yeah.
And as you get older, and I think people learn this at all kinds of ages, but for me, as I got older, I realized that I was the only one that could make decisions for my life. And when I trust myself and honor the little voices that are coming in my head and the things that are guiding me, when I honor that, I will not be led astray. I will end up where I'm supposed to be. And I really only recently, in the past few years, started listening to her again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so starting my photography as my full-time gig, going into business ownership, entrepreneurship, leaving my job of 10 years, and everything I knew was just another one of those things where I think, I know I'm supposed to do this. I know without a shadow of a doubt I'm supposed to do this. And so waking up and saying, I'm going to be a pilot was just another one of those things. You can't doubt it.
As you've developed the ability to know your own truth and to hear your own inner guidance and to trust that, is there a feeling, or do you in your body that you like, no, this feels like a yes, or no, this feels like a yes, yes, this feels like a yes? Or have you reached a place now where there's a quality to your own inner guidance that you have developed, that it is just a conversation, a continual conversation with yourself, that you're not second guessing?
I think for a long time I would wait for an answer. Should I do this? And I would wait till I heard a yes or a no. And I've learned in life that the yeses and nos don't come like yeses and nos. Oftentimes when we're presented with the opportunity, we have to just start walking and stepping. And what I've learned is your feet are a little quite wobbly. Start. But as this side gets a little wobbly, you start to veer this way. And then, okay, let's veer this way. And for me, it's not so much a feeling or an answer. It's we're going to start moving. And when things start to rub, the wrong way, that just is a little nudge this way. And then, okay, we're moving this way. And I've just learned to have faith and just keep walking. Don't doubt it. Just keep walking, because it's all going to work itself out. I truly believe that I wouldn't have the opportunity if it wasn't meant for me.
So tell me, how are the flying lessons going? Where are you at in terms of being able to take passengers, and how has it evolved? Because when did you begin? This was the start of this year that you began?
I only began at the beginning of the summer, which is, about 3 months ago now. And
Okay.
so I have already soloed in the plane, so I can fly the plane on my own.
How's
And
that?
it's riveting. I described it to a friend of mine a couple days ago as a physical representation of the journey I've been on in my life. take the plane and just pull back and fly.
Take off. Figure out how to land it once you need to, right?
Yeah, we're calculated, but at the end of the day, you just got to do it. And flying has been just I've never been more in love with something ever.
I'm in love with it through you flying. I just love seeing the videos that you put up on your Instagram of you flying. You're up in the clouds, and I'm like, so cool. So cool.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah,
and it is such a powerful metaphor, right? Let alone physical thing to do. Such an incredible metaphor to actually be flying.
Yeah, and it is hard work.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Don't just, there you go. Good luck with that.
Oh, it is one of the hardest things I've done in a very, very long time. It is hard, but it's taught me that I'm strong. I can do hard things. I can be pushed up against, like my back can be pushed up against the wall and I will push through.
Yeah.
Where before I would hit a plateau and be like, okay, I've hit a plateau. I've got to tap out for a little bit. That's not an option. You're flying a plane.
Yeah, totally. And so the hardness, is that because there's so much to learn and it's complicated? What does the hardness come from?
It's a new language. It's a new industry, new terminology. It's math. It's wind. It's weather. It's not glamorous. It looks super glamorous.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's sweaty and it's hot and it's rough and it's hard work. It's really hard work.
Do you want to go on to fly commercial planes, or do you have an idea of where you're going to go with that?
Yeah, so when I first started, I actually was like, I would like to fly my clients around. For me, I am like, let's go there. We're not stopping. The olive gray experience is one that I just want to keep leveling up with my business. So I started off, I'm like, I'm going to fly my clients. We're going to go to a destination.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to switch roles, and I will be your client and you can take me and fly me around and shoot me in different locations. I just love that idea.
Oh, yeah. So the goal is to do private charters. That's the goal, and it'll be commercial. It's a commercial license, and I have to do, the next year of school. But yeah, it'll be a fully commercial operation.
That is awesome. Do you know, I dated a commercial airplane pilot, very briefly, in many years ago, right? Well, he was a brother of a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, you've got to meet my brother. He's an Emirates pilot," and I was like, okay, set us up on a date, right? I'm open to that. And so on the front, there was only one date, Kelsey. And on that date, I said to him, so tell me about being a pilot. I said, what is the most dangerous thing that's happened? What's the hardest decision that you've been faced with making while you've been flying in your whole flying career?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and said, probably whether I'm going to choose the chicken or the beef for dinner. And he said, honestly, it's so, when you reach the point when you're flying a big commercial plane, it's on autopilot the whole time, all of it.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like, yeah.
I know. I tell my friends, if you knew how a plane flew, you'd probably never get on a plane again.
Because I've been on those little ones, the ones that you learn on, right? The ones that you're flying. I've been on those when we lived in the Pacific. And you can see that the pilot's there and he's like, he hasn't even got his hands on the wheel. He's just reading a newspaper and you're like, excuse me, do you think you should put your hands on the wheel?
Yeah. Exactly. It's an industry I knew nothing about 3 months ago. Or 4 months ago.
I am so intrigued to see where this takes you. Yeah, I am absolutely. I'm intrigued to see where life takes you in general, Kelsey. You're such an enigma, but such a magnetic one, right? And I love that because I fully believe that true inspiration comes from us being it and living it ourselves, right?
Yes.
It's like women's empowerment. Yeah?
Mhm.
You don't empower women by standing on a stage and talking to them about being empowered. The way that you empower other women is to be an empowered woman yourself, right?
Yes.
And through your being it, others go, oh, there's something about you that speaks to me, that ignites something in me, that takes me
Yes.
on my own inner journey, right? That gets me
Yes.
asking the right questions of myself in terms of, well, what would happen in my life if I listened to my inner voice?
Yeah. And what, like, getting dirty and in the nitty gritty of what that means to be an empowered woman. It's hard.
It's not glamorous. It's like flying a plane, right? It looks sexy, sounds good. It's actually really hard work.
You look really pretty on the outside, but let me tell you what, we're doing some hard work on the inside.
Totally.
Oh, and what I've learned is like women that need to be empowered in that way haven't yet stepped into the what? I'm okay. This can be my strength. It's still a victim conversation. And as people that empower women, we've done the hard work. And we're still doing the hard work. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
But what I think is so cool is, again, to kind of like tap into that space of like, we are connected. Those people are going to be drawn to us. And because we're in the nitty gritty, we have boots on the ground. We are like with the shovel, like digging up some deep stuff. And so, yeah, that's a lesson in itself, is just how can we empower someone else unless we meet them where they are?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love too about all of this, and what I've been so feeling into for myself this year and for everyone, for all of us, is our ability to create our own reality. But that can only come about by a willingness to really love where we're at right now, and then to allow what no longer serves us to fall away. And I know that for me, for everyone in my world, for all of us, this year has very much been about that, right? It's been about all of it's been in, I feel like I was thinking about this actually. I was just reflecting on this before jumping on this call with you. And I was thinking that 2 years ago, when COVID first hit, it was almost like our collective invitation to stop and go, hang on, what does my life represent? And what do I want it to represent? What do I want life to be for me? And we kind of all were given this gift of this pause where we're like, stop. And then for all of us, in whatever answers we came up with in response to that question, it's like the God, universe, the angels, Buddha, Allah, everyone, all of it is conspiring to go, okay, I see you and I hear you, let's do this thing. And that what that's meant for so many of us, all of us, is that big chunks of who we thought we were and what we thought was important to us either fall away, break away, things happen that crack us open, you know, all of it. And it's hard work. Let's be real honest about this. It's challenging. A lot of it's challenging because in so many cases, in order to be true to ourselves, sometimes that involves other people being hurt by our truth, which in turn, though, I truly believe is an invitation for them to live their truth too. Yeah,
I think part of it too is just realizing that the reality that you're living in sometimes doesn't align with the reality that you see and want. And I think through a couple years ago, when we all got to push pause, and some of us started living in fear. Some of us started saying, what can I do with this opportunity?
Yeah,
I'm not in work. More businesses were started in 2020 than ever before.
Yeah.
And I love, one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank. And I love hearing that we started this business in 2020. We were at home and we had lost our jobs. Like, that is taking something horrible and turning it into something amazing. And so I think, just to speak on the creating your reality conversation, you have to face a lot of the things about your current reality that don't align with what you see for yourself. And the hard thing is making decisions to no longer stay back in that space, but to move forward into, well, what do I really want? What does align with what I'm seeing for my life? Do I want to stay where I'm at? Am I accepting this? Because the reality is like, if you don't make a change now, in 1 year, you're going to be in the same exact place that you are today. I think about that all the time.
Let's talk through that process, because I know that everyone listening to this will have questions around, okay, so the process then is, I need to be able to know myself, to hear my own wisdom, to be guided by my own inner wisdom, by my higher self, by my truth, as opposed to looking for outside of myself for whatever that is, for whatever that direction is, to really be able to come home to myself and know myself and have the courage to actually live my truth. Because those voices for us all are getting louder and louder and louder. And I know for me now, when I don't listen, it's like instant karma, right? Instant karma now for me, right? It's partly because I've agreed to that, because like you, I'm really committed to being the best version of myself that I can be. And I was given the choice, right? And I was asked, would you like to agree to instant karma, where the minute you step off the path of your highest truth, slap, you'll feel it immediately, and then you'll know, get back on the path. And at the time, me being all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and when I first began the last 11 years of massive transformation, I was like, yes, that sounds like a really good plan. I think that will really help me keep on track. And oh my gosh, there's been so many times in the last 11 years where I'm like, damn it, why did I agree to that instant karma? That just really hurt. But here's the thing. It means you move through things so much faster, right? Because you get that instant feedback loop. And I really, really believe now that, in a sense, we've all been gifted that now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we have to pay attention to what's around us. Like, I never gave a lot of credit to my dreams and to little signs that I'm getting every day that are speaking to me. And gosh, I started having some wild dreams, and I just started seeing the life I wanted to live. And this is at night when I'm unconscious. And I kind of laugh and say, well, it's because I had so much going on during the day, like they couldn't get through me. I had to wait till I was unconscious to really start to open my mind to the possibilities of what my life could be. And I would wake up and I would ask myself, oh, how do I get there? How do I get there? What am I going to have to do in order to get there? And that's when the real work begins. Watching it in a dream, the life I want to live, the person I want to be, the symbolic, like being a pilot and being a business owner and stepping out in all of these big things. I really just saw that metaphorically in my dreams. I didn't see me being a pilot. I didn't see all these things, but what I saw was stepping into a greater space to all of who I am. Really stepping into womanhood and a new caliber of being. And that doesn't come easy. But when I really started listening to those dreams, our dreams speak to us in symbols. So, let's say I saw a certain bird, or I was running down the street, or I saw fire. I would wake up and I'd be like, what does fire mean? I would start looking it up. And I started noticing patterns in my dream, and patterns in these symbols. And that's kind of how, God started speaking to me is, hey, you're feeling stuck. You have a ceiling. You're not breaking through here. And these were things I really needed to hear, but it might have come through a symbol in a dream, or a bird that flew by me, or a dragonfly that like keeps circling my body.
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then once you start fine tuning to that, right? And don't you agree that the way you fine tune to that is you simply ask the question and listen, right? I just, in conversations with my own guides, they're always like, they're always kind of shedding light on the fact that what we tend to do here, right, in prayer or in reflection or in whatever we do when we ask for help, right, is we go into this like, oh, please help me, I don't like this, I just need a sign, please send me any sign at all, I just feel like I'm not on the right path and I don't know what to do next, and if you could just give me a sign, I'd like to see something, or any guidance would be so good, because I just don't know if that I'm living my truth, right? And what Spirit's doing is like, shut up for long enough and listen, right?
Look around, girl, you got all kinds of stuff around you.
Right? And for all of us, it's just to stop for long enough and be quiet for long enough, because it's all there waiting for us to see and to hear and to live and to love and to breathe and to become, and it's all right there. And we all seem to think that somehow we need to be different, or we need to do something differently, and well, kind of, we need to shift our frequency and then everything else will move up as well. But it's not outside of ourselves. It's all right here, yeah? And I think as you start to get more attuned to that, then you start seeing the magic when you're awake as well, right? Because it's all around us. It's just often our minds and our lives are so busy that the only time there's a chance for anything to come through is when we are asleep. But then as you start to slow it down and get really grounded, all of a sudden you start to see all of it. All of it is this magic movie that you're co-creating, that's playing out. And then when you realize and you really know within yourself that, hang on, I'm the director of this movie.
Yeah.
I get to decide my backstory. I get to decide what's playing out in this scene right now. And I get to decide how the story unfolds. I get to co-create this, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a constant state of surrender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how this works. You have the thought, you have the idea, let it go. You have the thought, you have the idea, let it go. And that's, for me at least, how I've been able to see this play out in my own life. Surrender, surrender, let it go, just let it go. I feel like I should be in that song. Let it go.
Yeah, I know, right? So let's talk about the taking action part, though. Yeah, because I know that's always this seesaw, this balance, this spectrum where people either are like, I am so surrendered right now, I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm so surrendered and I'm just allowing and nothing's happening, but I'm allowing and I'm waiting and I'm trusting, but nothing's still happening, right? Or we kind of go to the other end from a much more kind of masculine action based, like, I am working my ass off, I'm doing everything I can think of and nothing is working, right? And you're telling me I have to surrender. So, okay, I'll go sit on the couch and I'll surrender and something better fucking happen. Excuse my language. And I wonder I'm not going to swear ever again. But that's the energy of it, right? It's like this, And it's, and here it's like, oh, I'm just being so surrendered and so lovely and so in my feminine and so allowing. And I just really, really hope something happens soon. Right? Yeah. So where is the integration of those two things, and what does that look like? Yeah. For me, that looks like inspired action. For me, that looks like, for me, it is actually a discipline to actually slow down and stop for long enough and just be quiet for long enough and shut up for long enough to listen, to receive. Yeah. But then once you get that, once you wake up in the morning and go, I want to be a pilot, and it
Yeah.
resonates with you, then you start Googling where's the nearest flying schools, right? So it's
Yeah.
like lean in, surrender, lean in, surrender. For me, that's the leaning in is the like taking action, act on it. Whatever piece of inspiration dropped, whatever, and ask for it. So, okay, this is the dynamic, this is the paradigm I'm going to play with now. I'm going to step fully into the magic and hold the frequency of what I want to create. Let go of what it needs to look like,
Yeah.
but do my best to stand in the frequency of that. And then I am awake and I'm alive and I'm looking and I'm ready to receive. And when I receive the next hit of inspiration, just take action on that thing, whatever that thing is. Just do that thing and keep doing that, and then surrender again and wait for the next, and it'll come. And then all of a sudden you're doing this dance, right? This wonderful dance where, like you say, you don't know all the dance steps, but you can hear the rhythm. You can hear the rhythm, right? And anytime you start kind of veering violently off the dance floor, it's like, oh no, it's okay. Come back here, right?
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with personality type too. You know, you and I, we're get it done kind of girls. And I find myself leaning more into the masculine where I'm going to make it happen. Don't worry, I'm going to make it happen. And that's just my personality type. I will not sit back. I will attack every goal, every dream, everything. But that's not everyone's gift. You know, some people are more, they just don't have the capacity or the gift to have all of that at one time. And I understand that. That's a lesson I've had to learn too with just, you know, being in relationship with people, is there are two camps where, you know, some of us are the ones that are going to take the bull by the horns and drive it. And then there are others that get really overwhelmed with even just the idea of doing that. And so something that I see with the dance is surround yourself with people that inspire you to be all that you are supposed to be in this life, or you want to be in this life. Because I think it's a purpose conversation. You know, everyone, I hope everyone, it should be trying to find some kind of purpose in this life, whatever it means. You know, for some people it's business, for some people it's being like the best mom or the best dad, or, you know, it's whatever that purpose is. There's different levels of the dance that you're talking about.
There's different dances, right? I like the metaphor of the dance, because then if we're talking about the dance, then the frequency that you play at is just the tempo of the dance, the song that you're dancing to, right? And so you want to be dancing with other people that are dancing to the same song, because then you're moving in the same tempo. Now, everyone's got different dance moves. Everyone's got different ways of moving within that space, but the overall tempo, the song itself that you're all dancing to is the same. And that makes it so much easier, right? Because then you lift each other up in that sense, because the frequency that you hold matches the frequency that I hold, and then within that, we're so much more than we could be on our own.
Well, if I have a natural tendency to just sit on the couch and wait for something to come to me, I might need to go on the dance floor with someone who's a little bit better at actually putting some actionable steps to their plans. And vice versa. If I'm someone that doesn't know how to rest and I don't know how to sit back and surrender, I could really learn that from someone who just sits back and they let those things unfold for them. I've done that time and time again. Hey, how can I surrender this?
Yeah.
Why isn't it happening for me? I feel like I've let it go. I feel like I've done everything I can do. And so, you know, who are you calling? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you on the dance floor with that's helping? You know, we glean different things from each other. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a black and white answer of how to do this dance, but I think it's a balance. You have to do some work. We're here for a purpose, but you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it is okay, we've put the work in. Now we're going to surrender this. All right, we put the work in. Now we're going to surrender this.
What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were a kid? Tell me, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I either wanted to be a singer, like a famous singer like Ariana Grande, or I wanted to be an astronaut.
Really? Well, you're up in the sky. You're partway there, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I told my mom that recently, and she was like, "But you never did anything to like those kids have that star quality, you know." She was being
The
funny,
singers or
but
the astronauts or both? Both, I guess, are kind of,
both, yeah,
yeah.
both. But yeah, no, I guess that's what I wanted to do.
What I love about life, though, too, is that I was thinking about this morning, too. I was thinking about this a lot. The wonderful thing about life is at any point you can decide to step into whatever reality that you choose, yeah? And so I used to have kids that I grew up with, or friends that I went to school with, or friends that I went to university with, and I would look at them and they always had such a clear idea of who they were and what they wanted to be. And they'd all, right from the age of 3, they'd known they wanted to be a doctor or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I always used to look at them and go, oh, you're so lucky to know that, because I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up.
Mm.
And like you, I'm like, if I knew, I could throw myself at it, but right now I'm just floundering around making a real mess of this thing called life. And I don't know what it is I'm here for, but I know I'm here for a reason. And I know that when I figure it out, it's going to be cool. And it feels big. I don't even know what the words are for it, but I feel it. It feels big. And I know for me and for many of us, there's that inner knowing of that, right? I honestly believe that we are all here now for a reason. All of us, we all have a really, really important role to play. It's not
Yes.
just by accident, right?
Yeah.
And that all of our lives, everything, even, the bits that while you were living them, I know there's large chunks, the majority of my life while I was living it, I was just like, I don't know why I'm here, but this just doesn't make sense, and this is not good. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, you can kind of look over your shoulder and go, oh, I see why that happened. I know why that happened. I know why I experienced that, because I needed to know this. I needed to learn this. I needed to be humbled. I needed to have all the edges knocked off. All of that needed to happen for right now. And I really feel into a convergence for us all in the right now of right now. Yeah?
Yeah. I think keeping the perspective that we're here for something bigger takes the pressure off of a lot of those day-to-day things that we go through.
It does.
What job? What am I going to do? Like the little stresses, we get so caught up here, but remembering that there's a bigger purpose here. We've been put on this planet for a really powerful reason. And when we step out in that 50,000-foot view, that's when we can finally remember who we are. Oh, okay, this is a lesson. What am I learning through this? Step out of it. We're human. It's hard sometimes to step out of the stress and to step out of the emotions of the things we go through. But I try to remember that it's all part of the plan. This is part of the plan. It's part of me evolving as a being here. It's part of me becoming everything I am. It's part of, I'm going to look back on this and laugh and hug myself.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me, love, what's the vision as it stands for now? When can you take passengers on your flights? Because you could essentially, when you can take passengers, you can take clients and book planes and off you go, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of legalities that go into it, so I won't bore you with the details, but in a couple months I will be able to take passengers, and then in about a year I'll be able to use it for business and fly commercially. So the big vision your question. Oh girl. I love having autonomy as a business owner. I really do. I love the possibility that affords me. Possibilities. I don't know if I'll go work for someone else. We'll see. But I love co-creating my life. And so being a pilot, that's a skill I am so grateful I have. Am I going to be a pilot in 40, 50 years? I don't know. I have no idea. But I think all in all, I know that my gift is to help others and help other people see themselves in a way that maybe they don't yet. When I see people, I just really, really love them. I see people with eyes of love, purely, truly. And so whether I was doing that in ministry or I was doing that, working in a creative world or doing that as a business owner, photographer, and now a pilot, I don't know. I would never want to cap myself because things could change tomorrow. Like I woke up and decided I'm doing this.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, continuing to grow, and I would love to continue to inspire others and, create a network of powerful women and people that do step fully into who they are. It's something that I'm so passionate about, honoring yourself, listening to yourself, taking the ceiling off, taking the limit off. There was a time not long ago that I thought that other people put the ceiling and the limit on me. And I realized that I put the ceiling and the limit on me.
Yeah.
So
isn't that a wonderful and terrible realization all at once, right? It's like, damn, I did that. But then, okay, so I can just reset that. I can choose something new for myself. I can create a new reality. I think you have an extraordinary ability to, I said this, remember the first time we spoke, I said you have the gift of vision. You see things different to most. You see more. You see people differently. And I think you have an extraordinary gift as a storyteller in that capacity, where you see the best in people and you help bring the best in people out. And I see that evolving for you in terms of your branding and really working with some high-level clients that want you to tell their story, but also that want you to help them create their story, because you're doing such an amazing job of living the story that you want to tell in your own life.
Yeah, something that's been crazy to me through being a full-time photographer. A year and a half ago or 2 years ago when we started working together, I launched the Women in Freedom Project, which was a series that I was doing that was helping photograph and showcase women's stories after they've gone through some kind of a freedom journey. And what I didn't realize is it actually became a catalyst for every single person that was a part of that. I mean, they thought that they had walked through freedom and their journey and whatever that meant. And what it did was spoke to me about my position here.
Because it became a catalyst for you to go on your own freedom journey too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I learned that, for me, it's a lot less about pretty photos or a lot less about what I'm doing. And it's more about how am I connecting in with the person in front of me? How am I inspiring them and encouraging them to be all that they can be? Because just by doing that, it's not what I'm saying and it's not what I'm doing. It's how we connect. It's being who
you're being, right? It's who you're being. Yeah. Because those are the two elements, right? They are the feminine, the sitting on the couch waiting and allowing and all of that good stuff. And then the doing. So it's the doing and the being, the integration of the two of those, that when you bring that together, that's where the magic is. So I believe what really lifts things and transforms things almost instantaneously, right? Is when you bring those two together, it's who you're being while you're doing it. It's almost what you're doing is kind of, that's not the important thing. It's who you're being while you're doing it. that sends out such a powerful ripple effect into the world.
Yeah, it does. And something I've even learned was me waking up and deciding to go to flight school less about me becoming a pilot, or was it more about who I'm meeting along the way?
Yeah.
I'm really feeling into that. This industry is affording me the opportunity to be in close quarters. Well, it's allowing me to be in this little aviation club. Like the aviation world is quite small,
Mm-hmm.
and it's awesome. And I've had so many cool people that have come into my life through it, whether it's on Instagram or through my school, or even like people I've known for years that I didn't even realize were pilots, that are, hey, come tour this plane. Hey, anything you need, let me know. And I look at that stuff and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not about being a pilot. Maybe it's about stepping through all of these doors.
Right? Choosing to dance that particular song because the other people that are dancing that song are cool people.
Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. And that's so much my intention of this podcast, of these conversations, is to really wake people up to, well, what is the song that I want to dance to? Because there are other people dancing to that song that are cool people. Yeah? They're your people. And I think that's such an incredible insight, that it's like, maybe it's not even about the plane.
Yeah, when I met these people in the industry, one of the things that some of the people at my school said to me is, they're like, you're one of us.
Yeah.
You're one of us. And I felt like at home in one day. You're my people. These are my people. You can't manufacture that. Like, I woke up and decided I want to go to flight school. I could have stopped at the Google search. I could have stopped at the phone call. I could have stopped at the tour of the facility. I could have stopped at the discovery flight. I could have stopped when it came to signing up for class, but I didn't. It was a matter of just keep going. I didn't know it was going to be about the people.
Yeah. Kelsey, thank you for today, love. It's been pure inspiration talking to you. I have loved every minute of it, and I need to book in my personal branding shoot and flight with you, and I want to book in, I can't wait to talk to you in a year's time. I want to have you back, and let's have this conversation in a year's time and see where things have landed for us both in that time.
See where we both are, right?
Yeah. But that's it though, isn't it? That's the song that we choose to dance to.
Yes.
And that's what makes life so much fun. And amongst all the challenges, it makes the challenges mean something.
Yeah, and stopping long enough to talk about it and to allow
reflect on
ourselves
it.
to be enriched through it. This conversation has been amazing. Thank you so much.
You are phenomenal. Thank you, darling. I will talk to you soon. Really appreciate you being here. Bye.